Welcome to Carter's Country Club. This is episode one, A Call to Right Action, part 10. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. If you haven't listened to parts 1 through 9, I know it's a lot, but you get to, right? It's valuable. That's why we're here. The only reason why I'm here is to do my absolute best to make a difference. And specifically, I'm trying to reach you, the person who's on the other side of this. Hey! Yeah, I'm really excited about this next part. So, I just want to kind of roll right into it. I'm going to start with the same slide that I ended part 9 with, and I want to start to just really move here as I continue to share. About my son and why I am so passionate about Carter's Country Club and why I just really, I've seen this for a long time. I have envisioned it, and I know that it's going to happen. I don't know when, but I'm intending it, and I'm putting the information out there because I know that with everything that's going on, the most important thing are our children. They are our future. And it has been my experience, especially for the last 5 years working exclusively with children, is that we are not teaching objective morality. We are failing them at knowing the difference between right and wrong, and that is where we get to begin. Okay, so like I left off in part 9, Carter raced BMX when he was barely 4 years old. He pedaled a two-wheel bicycle right before his third birthday. Those same lovely godparents that you saw their music room earlier when Carter played his Parsh Monday. We were down in Chattanooga visiting them, and Carl, his godfather, was pushing, kind of that classic, holding the back of the seat, pushing it along, and he's very tall, not as tall as Justin, but he's still pretty tall. And he was like, "Oh, bud, you got to take it from here." And he just meant like, I can't stand over and sled push this bicycle, although Carl's very strong. He'd been pushing for a very long time. Sari and I were like, "Oh my goodness, like how are you continuing to push him?" But he did, and then he kind of said, "Oh, bud, you got to take it from here." And so Carter pedaled, and we're like sitting there. I don't know where the video is. It's somewhere. Maybe it's in here. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But anyway, we're like, "Oh my gosh, he's pedaling a bike," and he did. So all those years of balance bike came together, right? And so to be who you are and become what you are capable of is the only goal worth living. I really feel this because I got to take a modern dance class last night and I hadn't taken modern in a long time, and I felt grounded and felt at home. And I'm sure if I was able to, go take class at Alvin Ailey Studios, I would kind of feel the same. I like Horton technique, and this was not a Horton class last night, but I just felt it. And so, who Carter is he loves bikes, he loves wheels, he's a dude. But I knew about skateboarding, so I had taken him to skate parks, and this is from last year. Right? He's so cautious. He's such a little cautious dude. It takes him so long. He really is a dancer. Now that I'm learning even more about dance. We're such perfectionists, and as much as I wish that I hadn't instilled that in Carter, I see it, and I know that perfection is the enemy of good. That's the words of, again, I keep referencing Mark Passio because I did his How to Become the True Media course, which is why I'm here creating all of this, hoping to reach you, hoping to make a difference, intending to make a difference. But I do see the perfectionism in Carter. But I know that it can do well if we seek excellence. And that's what I hope to instill in him. So, like I said, yep. he raced BMX at 4. He's such a little dude there. And so before he was ready to like go down the start ramp, Justin and I would like slowly inch back, and like slowly hold the tire and let him go. The next one's a little video so you can see him. And so it's before he got his fancy, $300 helmet. This is a pretty decent helmet, but the other one, so it was also a journey too. Again, I mean, people think that like this stuff happens overnight, and maybe you don't think that, but I hear it all the time. Oh, my kid didn't like this, or they didn't do it, or they didn't take to it, or they couldn't do this, or oh, and it's like, well, yeah, some days you don't want to do it, right? Just like I don't want to be here talking, in a headset, staring in front of a computer screen. Justin's outside, working on his roping skills, and Carter's with his buddy Israel, like playing outside. And I'm here because I know it's the right thing to do. I didn't know that it was the right thing to do to take him to skate parks, but I didn't know what to do. I just knew that this little dude liked his balance bike, and so we took him there. And so he spent many, many, many days in the big skate park in Louisville. Again, Louisville, in Justin's words, is a shithole, which it totally is. It's like Detroit, like it's a city in decline. Like who wants to be in that nasty city? But it's got a fantastic skate park, and it's got a really great BMX, track. So it served the purpose for Carter. Oh, he's got some really awesome Vivo barefoot shoes on right there. Shout out to those. He loves those. He liked his fire boots more than these, but my mom and I really liked these green ones because they were so handsome. But I mean, yeah, I think they have some older videos of him in here. Maybe not, or maybe it's in some other presentations. But um, we spent a lot of hours there. We've spent lots of skate parks, and if we were driving somewhere, we would stop and go to a skate park. And also, somebody, some meth head tried to take Carter's bike one time, and I didn't have a gun, and I should have had a gun. Justin was like, "What are you doing? You go down to the skate park, And I was always clueless, like totally clueless about things. So this guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, it's a pretty nice bike," and all Justin had told me is, if you're in that situation, just work him over with the bike. So I was prepared to work him over with the bike, but luckily, some guy came up, we got in our car and got out of there. But it's all about the environment. It's all about how, like, creating that environment for them. And so many people are like, "Oh, well, I just can't afford to, or I can't do this." Well, if I'm being totally frank, and I want to give a shout out right now to Greg Reese. He's one of the only people, like him, David Icke, Mark Passio. There's a handful of people that are really honest and speaking the truth, but I have listened to some of Greg Reese's Sunday afternoon podcast, not a ton, but I used to watch all the videos, and I would show Carter his little videos on InfoWars. And Alex Jones is totally like in the Trump political camp and all those things, so it kind of drives me nuts. But because again, I don't believe that politics is the answer. I think that government is slavery. So neither side. That's Hegelian dialectic. It's garbage. But I really liked Greg Reese, and he was, brought Passio in, which was super cool. But I would like show the Reese reports to Carter and have over the last couple of years. But it's all about the environment, right? It's all about how you do that. And Carter's little bare feet and his climbing helmet and his pink balance bike, that's how you get there. It's the time, and we figure it out. Oh, and why I brought up Greg Reese is he referenced in one of his podcasts, spending a lot of his life in, I think in his words, he said in poverty, is kind of like the starving artist. And me too. I did too. I chose differently in my life. My mom doesn't like it when I say that because that's definitely not how I was raised, but it's the choice that I made, right? So I chose to live a really simple life, and because I wanted to be in nature. I wanted to climb. I wanted to move. I wanted to dance. I wanted to do all of the things. And I learned at a very young age about the issues in banking, and I didn't like corporations and all of the things. And I just, even though I was really brainwashed, like every other quote American girl, I did have an American Girl doll, totally brainwashed. There was just a part of me that couldn't be changed. And I could never go that far. But I say that because I made choices and I still make choices for my son, and it's not easy. And it's not about like, oh, just give up the Starbucks. Like, I don't go to Starbucks, okay? Sometimes people give me gift cards and then I go buy coffee from there because I've getting a gift card, or I get like a water bottle or whatever. But like I go buy a whole bag of coffee. But I don't seek out and go there. That's not what I do. But also that's not going to get you there, right? Like just nickel and diming and saving those little things, you know. But I didn't play the game, right? And I made different choices, right? So you can make those choices too. So like I said, Carter's done this race for 2 years. This is the year that he has a nice bike, and he has a nice bike because all the grandparents came together and we paid for it too. We all came together to buy that for his 8th birthday. He got it before his 8th birthday so that he could do this race. And it's awesome. Oh, he like
Go
just gets
CG.
out of the gate right at the beginning. You know, he's having a blast. This is his thing, right? This is what he loves.
Big hill, big
Good
hill.
job.
Come
Big
over
push.
this
You
way.
Big
know.
Come
push.
over this way. There you
Oh,
go.
see, and
Run
that's
it
the
up.
year before, right? That's the
You
year
got
before
it.
with the
You
single
got it. Walk,
speed
walk it
bike,
up and then go around again.
right?
Top
You
of the hill
got
and
it.
go left. Top of the hill and go left.
Yep.
Big
Yep. Yep.
difference,
Go up
you
there and
know.
then go around. You got it.
And he just keeps going because he's a tank. So what's next? I am choosing to trust my intuition. It says truth, but you know what I mean. I am choosing to trust my intuition yet again and want to find a way to take Carter to do little guards in Santa Cruz. I do. I do. So they have, I don't know what Carter would think about this, but this is Dean Lake where we used to take him, and this is after he could swim, but he didn't want to go out to that rope before he could swim. And so yeah, when I wrote this, I was really thinking that, maybe this summer I would want to take Carter to Santa Cruz and do the junior guards because they have a junior lifeguard program for littles there because it's like a more mellow break. And Carter has not had as much ocean exposure. He's only been to the ocean like a handful of times. And he doesn't want to do USA swimming anymore. I had one more USA athlete that I was still coaching, and I sent her over to another team for short course season. So I took her to meets, and she and Carter did long course meets last summer. But then I told her she needed more time than what I could give her, so I sent her to another club and she's thriving. And I probably have some other kids that I'll send at the end of the summer. But I'm not choosing to renew my USA swimming membership because Carter doesn't want to do it. And so I would like to take him to do junior guard. I don't think we'll do it this summer because he is doing this summer intensive with Ballet Met. So things really change. So, like I said, I started creating this presentation last fall, and I was really thinking, okay, Carter doesn't, he doesn't want to swim on a team, but he loves lifeguarding. Like he when I've guarded before, like he walks around with the rescue tube and all those kind of things. And I thought the best thing I can do is give him some exposure to open water. Right. So I was like, okay, I looked up a couple years ago and I was like, okay, they do junior guards, they do little guards in Santa Cruz. That'd be super cool. So I was like, man, let's get some people to donate to us and we can take him out to do junior guard. And maybe we still can, maybe it's possible. If you're like, I want to see this little dude swim open water, me too. So, contribute to us. I'll give At the end of this video, just like I've done in some of the previous ones, I'll give you the link to donate. That would be awesome. But at some point, I want him to do junior guard because I think it's a valuable program. I didn't get to go do junior lifeguarding because my mom didn't want me to be gone for the whole summer. But my friends that went and did it, they came back all jacked and tan. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, he has he's so hesitant in the ocean because he doesn't have enough experience. So this is when we went down to Cocoa Beach, and Carter would do a little bit, but he's always really, really hesitant. Justin had a good time surfing. I couldn't really get up on those little waves there, but we had a good time. And, so fun stuff. This mandala is here to remind me of my voice, throat chakra, Vishuddhi. My throat chakra is definitely like my issue, right? When I was little, I really, really wanted to sing, and I was always afraid to sing. And so I wanted to make sure that my siblings didn't have that issue. My youngest siblings, I was very cruel to my younger sister, Lucy. I love her very much, and I was mean when I was little and told her that she couldn't sing, which is totally not true. I was just projecting. But my younger siblings, that are 11 and 13 years younger than me, are beautiful singers. They don't have that hesitation. I was old enough to kind of pour my love into them, and they just thrived in that environment. And like I mentioned in a previous one of these parts, I've totally wrecked my voice. Being in chlorine and screaming and yelling inside the pool, but I had wrecked it before. Like the throat chakra is like my area. I was bulimic for many, many years, and way too much smoking of cannabis, right? Way too much of that in my life. So, you know, once I knew better, right, I could make the transition to like, edibles or concentrates or vapes or those kind of things, which can make it better. But I think I'd already done the damage. And maybe, I do think that cannabinoids are valuable and all of those things, but I don't think the smoking is valuable for sure. So yeah, I mean, I did that damage, and I like to own up to that, right? I don't have an issue owning the mistakes that I've made, but I am here to use my voice. My mom says, she said the other day, which when I used to do my work online, when I did Beyond Movement and did all my online courses and had tons of videos and all that stuff and all the audio for Beyond Movement, my mom kind of thought I was ridiculous to spend all that time doing that. But now, years later, she's like, "You have the gift of gab. You need to do it, right? Like everybody's online." I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to do it because you're saying to, Mom. I want to do it because it's the right thing to do." If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 26. As I mentioned earlier, I don't speak Hebrew. I can't read Hebrew. But here is where we make the transition from talking about my son that, I do my best to give all of the opportunities to. And I want to transition into the main reason why I continue to do this and why I'm here and why I'm still rambling on, is for the children. And I mentioned Kathy O'Brien and this book at the very beginning of this episode. But I want to read this quote from her husband, her partner, Mark Phillips, who co authored that book with her, who rescued her and saved her. And I stole the slide from Mark Passio. So that's why I put his What on Earth is Happening in the bottom. And I've mentioned him multiple times. You should go to whatonearthishappening.com and do what I'm doing and do my best to consume all his content. For every problem, there exists a solution. the formula for problem solving rests firmly on the quality of the supporting research information concerning the nature of the problem. So, I think I've done a pretty decent job in this episode to talk about the problem that I feel is that we don't know the difference between right and wrong. And I mentioned this author and this book, Krivda, The God Tricks Against the Matrix, earlier. But this is a slide from Paul Chek's four-part podcast series with Enna Reittort. And I listened to that. It's very long. It's four parts, quite a few hours. I listened to it twice. And that's what had me get the book from her, which, she's in a remote area of Asia. And so it took a long time to get that. And I've read through it twice. And so I'm going to read the next part of it because we were we've gotten into some of the dark pieces. I'm going to continue to get into a little bit of the dark pieces so we can move towards a solution. I want to share a bit with you here before moving on in hopes that Enna Reintort's words will do a better job to clarify why I know that order followers are the ones actually doing the bidding of dark occultists that seek to control our world while the rest of us just sit by. In her book, Krivda, The God Tricks Against the Matrix, in Part 2, Secular Gods, Chapter 9, The God of War, Reintort lays out some powerful truth. War operates as a ritual sacrifice on a very large scale. It is initiated by high priest, but the actual ritual action is performed by the rank and file. Humans sacrificing each other under the spell of patriotic propaganda, or because killing is how they professionally, quote, earn a living. Great emotional charge is invested in patriotic beliefs, since soldiers are driven by a brave natural urge to protect their family at least as much as their national flag. But the religion of war cultivates with greater ruthlessness than any other god the mind controlled reflex of obedience in the rank and file, such that not such that it is not it not be tainted by moral considerations or the softer emotions of kindness. In this sense, it is surpassed only by the obedience internalized through trauma by operatives programmed by secret MK programs, MK Ultra, or by initiatory training in secret occult societies. This being part of the different occult war that exceeds the jurisdiction of the God of War. Reichert concludes this massive work with powerful solutions and a call to awaken us to the human path. I too find myself called to seek a solution. Each year I become more awake to the problems in our world and the war on our souls. My hope as I write this is that I can invite you to see that bombing the other side will never be the answer. I really hope that you'll seek out and read her book. And before I move on to part 11, I want to remind you that I am sharing this with you because if you've listened this far, I think that you get it. And I want you to know that we the people are the many, but there are few of us that grasp the magnitude of what is going on. And if you are one of those people, then I invite you to do exactly what I'm doing and do our best to share our truth. So, while I have a very big vision for my son and for our lives, I'm inviting you to come along with this, and I want you to share your vision as well. My big vision is a farm, a training center, and not the farm like we live on, where they're farming our souls, or where, it's like, confined animal feedlots. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. Brain is a regenerative, she has a regenerative farm, right? We have to regenerate the soil, number one. We could debate again. Please, let's not debate, animals or no animals. That's not the purpose here. The purpose is for us to come together. A training center so that all people are included, especially those children that in 2020 were excluded. So, especially the unvaccinated, especially the unaltered children, especially the children whose families believe there are two genders, that know, not believe, they know there are two genders. A fine arts complex because the arts have been hijacked. I put school in quotation because we need a place for classical education and a moral place for all families who choose. And I am reaching out to you because I am only affecting this very small population. And so I'm asking you to reach out to me, right? Please reach out to me. And if you feel so called, please donate to us so that I can make this vision of a physical space a reality. Because right now, I am not in a position to share everything that I'm sharing with you with the kids and the families that I work with, because I am an independent contractor brought in under a 501c3 nonprofit, and so I do my best to make a difference where I can. And this is a very freedom loving, very, Christian community that is very small, and so they are in a lot of ways in alignment with with this. And maybe there are more people than I know that are totally in alignment with what I'm sharing with you. But I want to create a space that is totally, totally in alignment. So thank you for listening. I am going to see you in part 11. I'm really grateful that you're here. Please reach out. You can also just comment on this video wherever you're viewing it. I'm not going to respond to all the random spam comments, but if they're real comments, I will respond. If you're going to be hateful like people were during COVID, then I'm not going to give you the time of day because it's not worth it. But if you're reaching out for real, then I will be there. And I will make sure that these donations are put to good use if you choose to donate to us. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.